Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm John Gray, and I'm just plain living here.
Good morning, Peggy Burton.
And I'm Jim Fuller.
What's up, gang?
What's up? Well, me, and I'm so glad I was able to get up again. Yeah, I'm always happy about just getting up.
Glad you got out of the bed.
Yeah, I remember when I used to sleep till 5 in the afternoon. Did you ever do that?
Yes, I did that a lot.
I come home from college. My parents would think I was dead because I just couldn't wake up.
I wish I could still do that.
It's so nice, to get in those sheets that have been hanging on the line and they smell good.
Oh, yeah. Smell like sunshine.
I'd finally get some rest.
And of course,
can't do it anymore.
Peggy was quite the social butterfly in those days, and she probably hadn't slept for a week by the time she got home. That's got to be a tough experience when you go off to college like that, John. I mean, happened to a lot of our friends. It was all of a sudden you're out on your own. Mm-hmm. You don't have to ask anybody what you're going to, is it okay if I go do this, et cetera, et cetera. And, it's tough.
What books?
Yeah.
Books. Class.
What class?
The worst thing.
I still have those dreams where I'm walking up to Ayers Hall at the University of Tennessee in my underwear with no books, looking for the room where I'm supposed to be taking a final. And I hadn't been in so long, I don't even know where the room is. Sold the books a long time ago for, traded them in for a couple cases of beer.
Yeah. And
I still have that dream.
I still have a nightmare about, and I wasn't actually in college. I was going to the University of Tennessee extension. They used to have an extension here. We take classes at night. And my first year of accounting, and I really was buckled down because that's what I wanted to do, et cetera, et cetera. And I had an A average in the class. All I needed to do was take the final. And the night of the final, this young lady friend of mine came over to my apartment, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to make an executive decision that I'm not going to take that final.
Oh, my gosh.
So I didn't. And Mr. Householder was teaching that class. And when I went back, he said to see if I could take it another time. He said, one of the things you're going to have to learn in life, son, is that you're going to have some responsibility about you. I understand this coursework, but
you got to take it at the right time.
Coming to take the final unless you were dying was a pretty stupid thing you did, and you're just going to have to take the whole class again. And I did.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
What? I had to take it again.
You had to take it again.
I had to take it again.
Well, and you got to hand it to somebody, a teacher like that.
I appreciate that very much. He was absolutely right.
And they're willing to not break the rules, and often the rules are broken, and I understand that.
I had tremendous respect for Mr. Householder, and he was absolutely correct. The next time I took it, the next semester, James Artman, who was brilliant at that, taught the class, and it probably worked out okay because I had all these buddies of mine that were going to school at MTSU, and it must have been the summer when I was taking it, and they were about to flunk out, and they came and they needed this accounting class, and I tutored these guys, about 6 or 7 of them, and they actually paid me. Of course, I already had taken the class.
Well, I knew the
work.
I knew the work, so I made a little money on that, and finally got through it, but that was pretty stupid of me.
I enjoyed accounting when I took accounting until it got to cost.
Yeah.
Cost was really hard for me, accounting.
Yeah.
Which now
what does that mean? Cost accounting, what does that mean?
Well, you're getting a little deeper into stuff and where how you allocate the cost to different things. Yeah. It's more complicated than just regular stuff. But now that I look back at life experience, it shouldn't have been that difficult because it's pretty common sense in a way.
Right.
You just need to learn there's avenues that take you different places, just like traveling down the road to your house. There's an easy way to get to your house, and there's a hard way to get to your house.
And so you try to learn the easy way,
So you try to learn the proper way, really the proper way, and particularly in accounting, what is it? Figures lie and liars figure.
Yeah.
You know, you can take numbers and do anything you want to.
Right.
It just depends on whether you get caught doing anything you want to.
I find it amazing at this point in my life and careers that the fundamental principles of accounting, for instance, haven't really changed that much over the years.
That's
but
true.
Now all this is computerized.
I know.
And I have more difficulty these days figuring out how to get it through the computer system than I do actually know. I mean, I know how it's supposed to go and can tell you what the answer is, but you got to deal with it. Computer does accounting, especially QuickBooks, as a lot of you folks know that. I mean, for goodness sakes, it does all the thinking for you pretty much.
Yeah.
Well,
but there are still times you need to know.
And we've gotten to the point to where the one thing that I really enjoyed about my time in the construction industry is it's very, very math oriented, and I'm sort of bent on the math side a little bit, and you learn how to figure figures and measurements and all this stuff, and it's a whole lot of addition and subtraction and multiplying and dividing in the construction industry, and geometry, the geometrics of the whole thing. And I was really pretty good at that. And you'd sit and figure out a way to figure. And I figured by tens and then add-ons.
Yeah.
And I can figure quicker
that.
than somebody sitting there with a calculator, and it really, most of the time, on certain stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it amazes me that someone will sit and not be able to do something because they can't turn this device on.
They can't do anything
Give
in
me
their
a
head.
piece of paper and a pencil.
At best, I remember when I was studying accounting in college that you weren't allowed to use a calculator, I don't believe.
Well, most of us didn't have one.
Right. Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to use a calculator.
Yeah, right.
I remember
You
my
had to
dad
figure it
bought
out.
me a calculator when I was a senior in high school for graduation. I was getting ready to go to UT, and it was this big, Texas Instrument, and no telling what he had to pay for
Right.
it. But all it would do was add, subtract, multiply, and divide. I don't even think it'd give you a square root.
Right.
And now you can go to Walmart and get a watch for $5
Tells you everything.
that does everything in the world. But people can't. You watch somebody try to make change back.
They can't.
They're so dependent on a machine. They can't figure out. And if you want to screw them up, throw some odd change out there.
$2.98.
Yeah.
And so you throw them 8 cents or 3 pennies.
Yeah.
And
Confuses
they
everything.
just don't understand.
There's a lot of changes, and to me, I am so much busier now with all the computers and the technology than I was in the day when I didn't have all that. It just causes you to do more and more and more.
You can
never
do
end.
more.
Well, and you get in a line at a store, and what really frustrates me, you get in a line, and you're sitting there, and something's wrong with the computer. Well,
So you can't check out.
Nobody can check out.
Right.
Nobody knows how to make change without the machine telling them what it is. And I know it's easy for inventory because all of your inventory's in that box, and it saves time and money somewhere. But it's really not convenient for the customer.
And obviously that's a big problem, more so than I realized, because I don't get out a lot. But I noticed that Nancy, my wife, is teaching our grandchildren how to count money back the way
Good for her.
that we always used to do it, the way
Yeah.
you always did it, And
That's important.
Well, if nothing else, it's protecting you to make sure whoever's serving you gives you your right money back.
Exactly.
You shouldn't depend on what they tell you you're supposed to get.
You should be checking it and seeing if it's correct.
Yeah.
But a lot of people just don't know.
Boy, we're talking
I
old
don't know.
school
Let's
today,
get off
aren't
that.
we?
we are, you were talking about the math thing, that you needed to know in the construction business. At one time, I was in the printing office supply business, and I was bidding a job, I think at Arnold Center, to put this office furniture in this certain space, and it was a little bit odd looking space. And I don't remember the actual specifics of it, but I remember that I did pretty well in geometry in high school. This was 15, 20 years later. I could not remember exactly how you figure that, and I knew there was a way to figure it using the geometry. And it was one of those things when you're taking it, you think, I don't ever need to know that.
I'll never need to know that.
Well, actually, you do in real life.
Well, let me tell you what.
I had to call Bob Curley.
Let me tell you what. Bob Curley, I was getting ready to bring up Mr. Curley's name. Geometry was one of the most important classes that I ever took, to me, personally. Yeah. Number one, he was a brilliant teacher.
He was.
And a very brilliant man.
Right.
Not just in that, but in many aspects of what he did, and was a magnificent leader and mentor to young people.
Who are you talking about?
Lane Curley's daddy, Bob Curley.
Oh, okay.
But geometry, after I took geometry, my pool game went up about 800%. I went into Duck's pool room and I understood the angles and how to make those pool balls move around. It increased what was in my wallet a whole lot. Thank you, Bob Curley.
Well, you know, when I called him about my little issue, Bob, I'd forgotten it in 20 years. Bob was probably 20 years older than I was and had retired, but he knew exactly.
Oh, sure.
He didn't hesitate. He knew exactly.
It's like Bob Couch in history.
Yeah. And that's funny. That's funny about math and math people. You know, my son Jacob went through a horrendous event in his life and our life, but through the whole thing, the math never left him.
Yeah.
That's good.
Some other parts of his memory and is able to things he was able to do and not do, disappeared and came back. But the math stayed there the whole time, and that just always seemed kind of funny to me.
It does.
That side, and maybe the injury that he had didn't affect that lobe or whatever.
There's certain
the math people, they don't forget that stuff.
Right.
And so Bob Curley will know it till the last day. I'll guarantee you that. But Mr. Curley, thank you very much for two things. One,
putting up with John Gray,
being an exceptional teacher. Two, being an incredible man and mentor. And let's say three, you must be a pretty good dad too, because you got two pretty good boys.
Absolutely.
Really
so with that, we'll take a quick break.
The Russell Barnett Automotive family has launched its new Owner Advantage program. It starts as simple as your first year's maintenance is included with the purchase. We have 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plans available. Car detailing, car rental, collision repair. Stop by one of our 5 locations and let one of our certified sales staff tell you all about it. The Russell Barnett Automotive Family Advantage program. And remember, my question is, why buy anywhere else?
All I have to do to think about what I was physically before and what I am now, and I don't ever want to go back to that original situation.
The overall mission of the rehab team is always what is best for the patient and how we can facilitate maximum potential from every resident.
Well, the most important thing to me is that I'm allowed to do whatever I want to do,
Everyday Miracles, Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Peggy and I wanted to stay up here just a minute because something special is getting ready to happen next week. It's the 38th time, Peggy, that South Jackson's gone country.
I know. Can you believe it?
Yeah, I can believe it. And this is something that this was a brainchild of Peggy's.
It was
probably 39 years ago, because you probably worked on it a year before you got the first show on the stage.
We were just needing money so bad to keep South Jackson open.
And we still need money bad to keep it open.
But anyway, it seems like it's been a good idea.
It has been.
There's so much talent in this area. We don't have to hire people to come in and do this show because they're just nice.
But
and they come in and
at
sing,
times
yeah.
over the years, there were.
Well,
Pam Tillis
back in the
came
very
and,
early days, we had
different ones.
I'm trying to remember who all. I know when Pam Tillis came, Lori Morgan came, a couple others.
Yeah.
Then we didn't need them anymore.
Right.
We had our own.
Got our own folks.
A lot of people in this region that do this.
Yes, and this is a 3-day show. It's Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday afternoon.
August 11, 12, 13.
Involving probably, 100 people?
Well, I guess when you're
counting all the kids and
everything,
all the acts
and all the stuff, people in the background helping. There's a lot of people involved.
A lot of folks involved, and probably 70 different songs, 80 different songs over the 3 days.
Probably.
Band has to learn, and that's Bob Young and his Built on Blues band is he's a country and whatever.
For this show, they're the South Jackson Street Country Band.
Country Band, that's right.
Not to be confused with the South Jackson Street Big Band.
Big Band. So that's right. So, it's a great show. It's a lot of fun. We have a great commercial writing staff. So the people
the commercials are really good.
Who advertise on the show have a live commercial done, and it's sort of like the Super Bowl. People come to see the commercials.
Which is interesting
it's
to me.
Great entertainment.
Last night we finalized commercials, and I was able to actually sit in the back and watch and see if it made me laugh or see if it made me get sentimental or whatever was supposed to do, and they went really well. Yeah.
They work. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to run today on the show. We have a couple of things from years past and give you a little taste of what's going on. But you can call South Jackson Civic Center at 455-3521 and reserve tickets. 5321. Excuse me. I'm dyslexic.
Or go,
sometimes.
So am I. And go on southjackson.org and order tickets online.
Order
which
tickets.
Is nice
and,
because you don't have to stand in line.
That's right. And plus, there's a pre-show that starts outside. There's square dancing. There's food to be had.
Rhythm Express under the direction of Shannon Martin, and they've been doing this show since Shannon and Sean were twins about this high.
Right. And they've been on Hee Haw and the Grand Ole Opry and all of that stuff.
They've done a lot of stuff, won a lot of prizes this year, and so we're always happy to see them. Family time.
So what we're going to do right now is bring you a number, and I think this is probably my son Jacob doing a song that I wrote for him, and it's called Strut. I might even step into this one and help him just a little bit.
I love this song.
Let's go.
This next song is one my dad wrote for me and some other people. We got to keep your head high and strut through all the tough stuff in life. So get me going. Tired of looking, harder I work, the further I fall, well, I found the
me tell you about the toughest guy on earth. He does the work of 2 jobs, but only gets paid for one. He's tough enough to feed the man that gave him a lifetime of nourishment. He has the crazy strength to lift the man that raised him up without even flinching. That's right. No employee of the month bonus check here. This guy, now, this warrior, will always be by his father's side, even if his dad will hardly remember. Good luck finding a gym to train for that. If this guy isn't the toughest guy on the planet, then I don't know who is. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Is this the year you want to get fit? If so, check out just some of the things Tullahoma Parks and Rec has to offer. Kickboxing, aerobics, silver sneakers workouts, swim lessons, boot camp, water aerobics, basketball, Zumba, yoga, pickleball, lap swimming, treadmill, karate. Get fit, Tullahoma, and have some fun with Tullahoma Parks and Rec.
When your family suffers the loss of a loved one, the caring and compassionate staff at Tullahoma Funeral Home and Coffee County Funeral Chapel are standing by to assist you in every way possible. We are proud to support local industry and offer only Batesville caskets. Many funeral homes don't own or operate a crematory. We utilize the only crematory in Coffee County. Your loved one never leaves Coffee County. We can accommodate any need and any budget. Consider our complete pre-need service to remove this burden from your family during their time of grief. Lock in today's low costs and protect from inflation. Tullahoma Funeral Home and Coffee County Funeral Chapel. Our family caring for your family.
Talking history about this and that. It's conversations with John and Pat. With John and Pat. With John and Pat.
Hello, everyone. I'm John Rickman.
And I am Pat Welch. And, John, we're here today for the 55th rendition.
55. Traveling right along.
I mean, we are.
Songs from the 60s and 70s, 50s even, are the ones that I'm familiar with. And one that George Hamilton IV had out was called Abilene. I sit alone most every night and watch those trains pull out of sight. I wish that they would carry me back to Abilene, my Abilene. Abilene, Abilene, prettiest town I've ever seen. Women there don't treat you mean in Abilene, my Abilene. Crowded city, ain't nothing free, nothing in this town for me. I wish to the Lord I could be in Abilene, my Abilene. Of course, Abilene, Abilene, prettiest town I've ever seen. Women there don't treat you mean in Abilene, my Abilene.
A fine rendition, John.
Women in Tullahoma don't treat you mean either.
No.
Correct?
No. Not if you're as dashing as you and I. That's for sure. Well, we normally use your song as a segue to the body, and sometimes it's a stretch, and today will be a little
just doesn't always work.
Yeah, today will be a little bit of a stretch.
I did have two grandparents who lived at Texas.
All right.
One in Carlsbad, Texas, near San Angelo. He was a doctor and went out there to sanatorium to work, or sanitarium, whichever.
Sanatorium, I think.
Well, anyway, he was out there, and then my granddaddy went out with his daddy and brothers and sisters to and they raised cotton out in Texas. So but all of them came back to Tennessee.
That'd been a hot chore.
Yes, it would.
But there's a lot of horses in Texas. And today we're going to talk about a Confederate cavalryman that was close by. At one of our recent segments, when I was in East Tennessee, we went through a segment on a church in Eusebia area, which is East Tennessee, which is between Seymour and Maryville. And there was a cemetery there that the East Tennessee had a lot of Unionists in the and would have fought for the Union in the Civil War. And I found a tombstone of a gentleman that had served with the Union in their cavalry, and we said we would come back and try to balance it out. And while I was at the Builder Supply, we had a job past Flat Creek a little bit in Bedford County. And if you go down towards Lynchburg and turn right on the Flat Creek Highway, about a mile or two on the left is a really old, pretty cemetery that still has got some recent burials in it, but it's also got some really old Moore County people there. And I think the name of it is the Wiseman Cemetery. It's kind of below the grade of the highway and has a metal fence around it. It's really nice. And I had some extra time one day while I was calling on a customer, and so I thought, well,
it's funny how you always manage to have a little extra time.
A little extra time, yeah. Then some people at the office would also have wondered the same thing. but I did visit that cemetery on a run down there, and I don't know why, but I was kind of drawn to the front right section, and as soon as I got there, I noticed that there was a gentleman, Jesse Gordon Moore, from Moore County, who had fought in the Civil War as a cavalryman. And I couldn't find much on my own, so we enlisted a real historian this has been, probably 10 years ago maybe, Dr. Bradley.
He knows
and he went on a visit to the archives in Nashville. He came up with a whole lot of information on him. And there was a regiment from Tennessee, the 16th, that was formed in 1861, and most of that came from soldiers in Coffee, Bedford, and Lincoln. And at that time, in Confederate history, they enlisted for a period of a year. Well, in 1862, when the time was up, several of them stayed, but wanted to come in as cavalrymen. And this would have been the time that Jesse Gordon Moore would have volunteered and came with them. And most of those people came from near Flat Creek, where you again turn at the Flat Creek Highway.
Did they want to ride a horse instead of march?
I think it was a little bit safer because they were also making raids.
Okay.
They weren't in the front lines. And I think riding the horse would have sure beaten walking barefoot, where some of them at the end of the war would have been relegated to. But in this little communication that Dr. Bradley sent me, he said the cavalry that they served in, most of these men served in the 4th Tennessee Cavalry, and it was commanded by Colonel James W. Starnes, a physician who was from near Franklin. Mm-hmm. And Colonel Starnes was killed on June 30th, 1863 in a skirmish which was fought between Tullahoma and Manchester as the Tullahoma campaign was coming to a close.
That's a marker out on the highway.
There's a marker at the Harkle Smith Nursery Road, and that's in the area that Starnes was killed. And Starnes served under Nathan Bedford Forrest. Mm-hmm. In December 1862, the 4th took part in a raid in West Tennessee led by Nathan Bedford Forrest. The next spring, it fought Thompson Stations, Brentwood, and the Tullahoma campaign at Chickamauga in September of 63, and on a raid into Middle Tennessee in October of 63. In 1864, the unit took part in the Atlanta campaign and was in combat for 100 consecutive days. In September of that year, the unit again raided into Middle Tennessee, and that's this time that Jesse Gordon Moore was captured. On the raid in 1864, he was captured near Sparta and was sent to Camp Morton in Indiana and remained there to the end of the war in 1865. And his, Phil, if you'll put up his, the top part is his headstone, and the bottom part is on the ground at his feet, and gives a little bit more about his service in the Confederate Army, and it's marked at the bottom, he's a prisoner of war. And I'm assuming that once they were freed, and I looked up Camp Morton too, John. The conditions there of all the Civil War, both North and South, wasn't ideal. And when they were released in '65, I doubt they gave them a train ticket back home.
Well, he was born in 1845, and if in 1861 the war began, he was only 16 years old.
Yeah, that's why he was 17 from what I figure in '62 when he would have enlisted. Mm-hmm. So he would have from 17 years old to about 21 when he got a chance to come home, and I would assume he walked back home, and that would have been a tough journey, I would think, from Indiana on foot to Moore County, but he lived to 76 years old. So he's a hardy old guy, and I really thought it was really interesting. But one thing happened that was really peculiar about that. I talked to Dr. Bradley again several months later, and he said he'd been contacted about 3 months after that I had talked to him about Jesse Gordon Moore, and there was some descendants of a Moore who had a ancestor that would have been in the Civil War that was buried about a couple miles up that highway closer to Flat Creek. And they said that his last name was Moore and that he had a twin. And so they asked Dr. Bradley, knowing that he was a good local historian, do you have any idea of who that twin might be or where he was? And he said, well, if you'd asked me 4 months ago, I couldn't tell you. He said, but I can now. And they were looking for Jesse Gordon Moore. That was the gentleman's twin. He had a twin that also fought, and I wish I'd had a chance to get a hold of Dr. Bradley before we came today to see if he had a little bit more information about him, but that was almost kind of eerie.
That was amazing
to find that out.
And Starnes, Pearl Columbus Haynes, my great-great-grandfather, fought under Starnes, and when Starnes was killed, McLemore took over. McLemore. Starnes McLemore was the unit name after the...
John, you're as good as Dr. Bradley.
That's a little something I picked up along the way. My grandmother told me a whole lot of stuff.
And we're going to have a segment to bait all of our fans. John's ancestor, Columbus Haynes, was shot with a mini ball that started in one of his nostrils.
And we hit him right here.
Yeah, we won't go through the gruesome details until that day, but we'll have that hanging out there. And John, that pretty well brings us to a close on segment 55 of the Conversations of John and Pat.
Maybe they'll let us come back again, Pat.
If management allows, there's more stories to be told. Thank y'all.
Talking history about this and that. It's Conversations with John and Pat, with John and Pat, with John and Pat.
The Animal Shelter has served Tullahoma dogs for nearly 30 years. Now, you can help us build a bigger and better no-kill shelter. Your tax-deductible gift is matched dollar for dollar, so come on, bark it forward and donate now to have your tax-deductible gift matched. Make your check payable to the COT Shelter Building Fund and go to tullahomatn.gov to see all the unique gifts available for your generosity. For more details, you can call City Hall at 455-2648.
right, folks, we're back, and I am so happy today to have a friend, a neighbor, a mentor, and one of those people. There's people that you run across in this life that you can't do anything but look up at them, not at them, but to them, and respect them because they deserve that, and that's my neighbor, Dr. Jessie Campbell. Welcome, dear.
Glad to be here.
It's always
Glad
a pleasure to have you here, and you are here. Introduce your guest.
This is Joni McReynolds, the National President of Tennessee State University Alumni Association.
That's correct.
All the universities.
All the United States.
Yes, all over the United States. And we are here to talk about our jazz concert on August the 18th, 8 p.m., right here in this building, the Legend Ballroom. Tickets are $25, and this activity is set up for a scholarship to be given by our chapter, by South Central Chapter. For about 5 years, we have had a dinner in Manchester for the Christmas holidays to give a book award. But the young people in this area deserve more. We need to give them an actual scholarship presented in the spring, ready to go in the fall. So we're here to advertise that activity. Absolutely.
Advertise that.
And our president will be able to give you more information about TSU's scholarship program with our foundation and all of that.
Well, why don't we do that, Joni? Why don't we do that before we get into the music and the event? Tell us a little bit about yourself. You reside in Manchester?
I live in Manchester now. Before that, I lived in Northern Virginia. I retired from the federal government. And my mom lived
You don't look old enough to be retired. You must have taken early retirement.
No, I did not. No, I did not. I was able to work 20 years and 5 of it overseas. And at the age of 50, I was able to retire. I'm fully retired now.
Fully vested. Good for you. And
so I moved back to my mom's home is originally in Manchester.
Oh, good.
So I moved a little closer to her. So I actually built a house right across the street from my mother.
That's close. That's pretty close.
I can't get any closer.
Unless you move in.
So that's what brought me to Manchester, and as was mentioned earlier, I am the president of the National Alumni Association, and we have over 51 chapters across the country, from Washington, D.C. to Miami, Florida to Los Angeles, California.
Okay, and that, of course, I'll start off by saying what a wonderful thing to do with your time past work. Well, this is work as well.
Yes.
Everything is work, but it's probably maybe, I don't know what your work life was like, but hopefully this is pleasurable for you to do, and I'm sure it is because you're passionate about it. Of course, that was your alma mater as well, I assume.
That's correct.
How many people are there in the Alumni Association? Just general. I mean, not down to the one, but approximately.
There are over 66,000 graduates of Tennessee State University. However, there's about 2,500 financial alums of the Alumni Association.
Okay.
So that's one thing that we're trying to increase. We're trying to increase our members, and we're also trying to increase the donors, the number of donors that give back to TSU.
Yeah, and getting that message out is probably the biggest part of the whole thing, right? Pretty much.
Yes, right. I, along with members of the Alumni Association or Alumni Relations and Annual Giving, and the foundation, we kind of toured around the country this summer and briefing at different meetings or regional conferences about the giving and giving back to TSU.
And what kind of shape are the facilities there?
On campus?
Yes.
We've got some work to be done. We've got some renovations that the university has scheduled. A lot of it needs money. We need money to do that. But we're looking, I think on their list of things to do next or build next would be some residence halls for the students. I know that's on there. I think it's a new engineering building is on there.
Right.
And renovations for our Hale Stadium, I should say.
Right.
The football stadium.
Okay, when you know this, and maybe some other folks out there don't as well as I don't, how long has TSU been in existence?
Over 100 years. I believe we celebrated our 100th anniversary in 2012.
That's correct.
That's okay.
Did you go to school there, Jesse?
Oh, yes. Yes, by all means.
By all means.
Yes.
And,
I was a young girl from Mississippi who came to Tennessee State because I had a brother, older brother, was there. And we have a sister in Nashville. And in visiting Nashville during the summer, I had a tour of the campus. And I stood right in the president's office while he was on vacation and said, "This is where I want to go to school." And it became reality.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. And what's the average attendance?
Right.
I mean, just ballpark.
I think right now we are at I'm going to venture to say about 6,000 to 7,000. I'm not quite sure about that because we just graduated over 1,000 students, and then we've got the incoming freshmen coming in. I saw that number. That's close to 1,000 also. But
see, to me, I was at the University of Tennessee when there was 25,000 students up there. I got lost and I didn't find myself till I was about 40. My son went to UTC where there's about 8,000 students when he was there, and to me that is a perfect size. Because it's big enough that you can kind of get lost if you want to, but it's small enough that you see people, you know, on the sidewalks, and you recognize people. There's a little bit of family closeness to that size campus, but yet there's enough folks that there's a lot of diversity there in what people are thinking and doing and studying and all that. To me, that's a perfect size school.
I always tell the students when we're out recruiting that you should go to a classroom, not that I'm saying anything against the larger schools, but it's nothing like being in a classroom where the teacher actually knows who you are. And you're not being taught by an assistant, a grad assistant. You're actually communicating with the teacher, and I always liked that when I was in school. So. I
had a class up at UT. I forget which one it was. I mean, and the guy was on television. He wasn't even in the same state we were. You know, there was some proctors in there, and he was off somewhere doing something else. And so, yeah, what you're saying, your teachers are in the classroom.
Yeah, and they have a vested interest. If you can walk in and talk to them during the office hours, I think they have a vested interest.
Oh yeah, and that's the great part of that, and that's the part where you look back and you go, this, because there are people like this lady right here. If we all look back, we will find the people in our lives who affected our lives and have changed our lives. And not all of them, but most of the time, there are 2 or 3 teachers in that list of folks that made a difference and turned you into who you are and helped you accomplish what you accomplished.
I totally agree. I totally agree. And an example of that, when I was in school, I was a health and physical education major in school. And the dean of the department called me one afternoon and says, "Do you want to do your student teaching overseas?" I said, "Sure."
Yeah, that sounds like a good deal.
So in our department, there was 2 of us that were able to go out and do the student teaching overseas. I went to Mexico City and taught it was an American school for a lot of the American embassy kids were at that school. And that led to me getting my job with the federal government because they saw that I had traveled, I'd been overseas, and they asked me when I applied for my job with the government, "Do you want to travel?" Sure. Do you mind living overseas? No. So I was able to do that with my job.
Very good. Now, where is your office in Nashville?
Yes, the national office is in Nashville on campus.
Okay. And do you spend a lot of time up there, or are you able to, with technology, to do what you do from remote locations?
I do a lot of technology, but I'm on campus usually at least once or twice a week because there's other meetings I need to go to. I'm on the homecoming committee. I'm on the gala committee, so that requires face-to-face meetings sometimes.
Well, I'm congratulations and thanks to you. We need young people because you're young people.
Thank you.
We need young people stepping up and filling these roles that we worked on for a long time, in different parts of life. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of hard to find these young people who want to step in and take the baton. Thank you very much for being one of those people who stepped up and getting all of that done. How does someone, now let's talk a little bit more about the event. The Hamilton brothers are going to be right across the hall from us in Legends Hall. This is going to be the 18th, you said?
August 18th, 8 p.m.
Friday evening.
8 p.m. And if you don't know who that is, we had them on South Jackson. Walter Hamilton, I played with Walter. My brother played with him, Baby Junior. And was an incredible musician. His family, they're all incredible musicians. This will be a night you do not want to miss. How does someone find tickets?
You can find tickets from Joan and myself and Jackie Duncan by calling names. If you watch this station, you will see a flyer. My number is 455-0287. Jackie's number is 455-2199. And Joni's number is?
Area code 703-408-5851. But it's also on Eventbrite. So if you want to go to Eventbrite, search for Tullahoma on that August 18th. You'll be able to find tickets on Eventbrite.
Or you can get in touch with me at 581-5238. And, of course, my numbers and email are on all over the television. You want to find out, give me a call or email me, and we will make sure you get the information that you need.
And we would like to have all tickets picked up by August 14th. However, if you can't get it done by then, we would like to have it daytime August 18th.
But they can buy them at the door.
They can, but we would like to have their tables set up. We can sell tables of 8 people. If you want to come with friends, just let us know and we'll have your table ready.
All right. Doctor, friend, and mentor.
And neighbor.
And neighbor. Very nice to meet you, dear, and thank you for what you're doing and the service you're giving the folks that you represent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great event, folks. Y'all come. We'll be right back. Oh, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the paint. I just knocked the tree over. This is the paint doctor. I got the color wheel. Now, you know what a color wheel is? It is the wheel at the paint works where you pick all your colors to paint your room. It could be a multicolored beard. It could be a underarm fan. You never can tell. One thing we do know is that it's time to paint. You can make your wife very happy if you go to your house and paint some rooms, or you paint the outside of the house, the inside of the house. It makes them feel very good because you work hard for them and they like that. All women like to see their man sweat. They do. Honeydew is what they do. And you get to do it too. So you go to the Paint Works at 1960 North Washington Street and you see David Heikkinen over there, and he's the real paint doctor. He fix you up with color. It's so nice when the color is right. Go to Paintworks today. Martin Senor. See? Martin Senor. Right there. Martin Senor at the Paintworks. Bye, and we see you next time. I'm burning up.
You know what, guys? There's a lot of tree branches and dry brush over here. We should probably move the bonfire over there.
I'm guessing Smokey liked that idea.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
All right, folks, we're back, and Peggy and I were talking earlier about South Jackson Goes Country in 38 years and rolling. We're rolling, baby. We're rolling. It's going to be a great 3-day show. What we want to do right now is bring you. This is not the band that's playing this year, but this is because we're using past stuff, and this is the opening number. And Mike Sneed singing it, and I wrote it. So let's go to the opening number to South Jackson Goes Country 2 years ago.
It's time for every family and business in Tullahoma to go green and recycle. Tullahoma Public Works makes it simple and easy to recycle. Just place your recyclable materials, paper, plastic, aluminum, and cardboard beside your garbage container on the same day your garbage is picked up. Your recycled materials don't have to be in a fancy container. Recycling is not only the right thing to do, it makes sense. Recycling pays. Paying to bury our garbage costs each of us. Please do your part. Let's go green, Tullahoma, and recycle.
Hi, I'm Cindy.
And I'm Jacob.
I'm the Rooster.
And I'm the Red Maid. And we would like to welcome you to
Roosterwear.
Yes, Roosterwear is a cottage industry producing accessories for men, women, children, babies, and pets. All items are hand cut and sewn locally. Roosterwear specializes in bow ties, pocket squares, scarves, cufflinks, neckties, and aprons of all sizes for all ages. Baby products include onesies, diaper covers, bibs, and burp pads. All bow ties, tie it yourself or pre-tied, come with an adjustable neckband. All products can be made with the material of your choice, as special orders are available upon request. Don't be standing back looking at fashion. Create your own with Roosterwear.
come visit us at
roosterandredmaiden.com.
to find our handcrafted designs for
The Cock of the Walk.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Why, good morning there. Thanks, John. Good to see everybody. You and TV land, we're glad that y'all are seeing us too. Thank you, camera ladies. Good to see y'all. Couldn't do it without y'all. And hello, Dot, and hello, Justine, and hello, all our good viewers and listeners that have said they like this segment of the show. We'd love to share it with you. Let me ask you to go back in time, not too far back, but about 1940. This time of year, in 1940, 60 years ago, the war clouds were rumbling, and it looked like that good old U.S. of A. might be involved in some wartime activities, and the authorities that powers that might be selected in their selections of training camps for Army and Navy and Air Force, selected Tullahoma to be a training ground for the Army because the terrain around here was much like that in Luxembourg and France and Germany. And of course, even before 1940, Tullahoma has always been a training ground for military people. Like in 1926, Governor Austin Peay established a National Guard training center in East Tullahoma, where the Tennessee National Guard came every Sunday every summer for a 2-week training from all over the state, and they trained at Camp Peay. Most of it was infantry, but even before that, from January of 1863 to July of 1863, General Braxton Bragg had some 25,000 troops in Tullahoma and Manchester and Sheville, having retreated from the Battle of Stones River in Murfreesboro. So Tullahoma and the surrounding area have been for many, many years the center of training activities for the armed forces. Now, back in 1940, it was determined that they were going to build a big Army training center in Tullahoma, That decision was made in September of 1940, and construction began in October, late October of 1940, and Governor Prentice Cooper named this Army training base Camp Forrest in honor of our great Southern Cavalry leader, General Nathan Bedford Forrest from Memphis, that was a great leader during that time of the Civil War, and rightly so, because he was such a great leader. And Tullahoma, a sleepy little town of 3,000 or 3,500 people in September of 1940, grew almost overnight to 15,000 and 20,000. The workers came in from all over the southeastern United States seeking jobs for the construction of the camp. They slept in cars, they slept in trucks, they slept in tents, they slept in attics, garages, barns, wherever they could find a place to rest their head. And to get a job, they had to belong to the Carpenters Union, whose headquarters was in the back of a grocery store on Wall Street in Tullahoma. And they'd go to sign up to get a job as a carpenter, and the union officials asked them, "Where are your tools?" And they said, "Well, don't they furnish tools out there where they're building?" They said, "No, you got to go get some tools." So Lawson's Hardware was just 2 doors from there, and those seeking membership in the union would go up to Lawson's and buy a hammer or a yardstick or a pound of nails or something related to construction, and go back down, and they'd sign them up in the Carpenters Union. All those construction workers and truck drivers and lumber people worked around the clock for months and months and months. That winter was one of the worst winters that was ever took place in this area. It was either mud one day or dust the next. It was just horrible. But they've got gravel to try to lay some roads out there where they could get to the construction site. And those big old international dump trucks got gravel from the quarry at Normandy and Lynchburg and Hillsborough. And again, they work around the clock to get that material down there. Well, the first troops moved in late February of 1941. The 181st and 191st Field Artillery moved in, and they were from Middle Tennessee. And then in March, the Illinois National Guard was federalized, the 33rd Division, and they moved in March of 1941, some 25,000 of them. And they went on maneuvers, and the picture that you see now is Gate 1. I made this picture in 1941, and it's straight now, I think. I hope. Can you see it? I hope you can. I was waiting. I delivered papers out there and delivered groceries out there, and I was waiting to get in the gate at that time. And while I was waiting, I stuck my little camera out the truck window and made this picture. It's the only picture I've ever seen of Gate 1. It's been used by hundreds of people, and it's put on a postcard, and that guard that you see in the picture happened to come by a few months ago and said, "You know that picture you made of the Gate 1 in 1941? I said, "Yeah." Well, he said, "I'm the guard that was standing there directing people in," and I had remembered his face, but I didn't know his name. And he was also head of the military police headquarters next to the City Hall up at the corner of Lincoln and Atlantic Street when camp was here. Nice fella. And people come every month or so to visit or show their grandchildren where Daddy served and our Granddaddy served in his basic training at Camp Forrest. A very interesting place. It existed from 1941 when it was built until 1946 when they raised it, and you can only see footings and foundations of some of the buildings out there now. But it was a great place, and we really enjoyed meeting a lot of nice people from all over the country. One lady came by a year or so ago and said, "Do you remember where the hospital was? I said, yes. And she said, well, my father was in the 168th Field Artillery from Colorado, and my mother was expecting me, and he brought her with him when they came to Camp Forrest, and I was the first baby born at the hospital there at Camp Forrest. Very attractive lady. She said if they ever have a reunion or a gathering, I'd love to come and be part of it. But we made a lot of friends through the years, and it's been real fun. Would you believe that when Camp Forrest was announced, there were 2 taxi cabs in Tullahoma and Manchester combined, and at the height of the camp there were 886 taxi cabs in Coffee County, and they stayed busy all the time. The troops got out on Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock for a weekend and had to be back on the base by midnight Sunday night. And you can imagine when those special trains came in and brought them back, what a fight it was for a taxi cab. But it was a whole lot of fun, and you know, there was a patriotism and Americanism, a loyalty, and a cooperative effort because of wartime that we haven't seen since then. And everybody enjoyed it and cooperated for the war effort. And let me tell you, there's a whole lot more to come. This is not the end of the story, and I'll be looking forward to sharing some more with you. And until then, you have a good day.
for Healing provides medical care to the working uninsured of Coffee, Franklin, and Moore counties. We are in Tullahoma from 8 to 5, Monday through Thursdays, and in Manchester on Fridays from 8 to 12. We provide primary medical care and offer an in-house disease management program.
My name is Rosie Mitchell, and I would just like to say I am blessed to have partners in my life.
Please call 455-5014 for more information. Thank you for being one of our partners for healing.
Hello, this is Janie Price. When my husband Ray Price would tour across the country, his favorite place to dine was Cracker Barrel Old Country Store locations. His favorite thing to order was the Uncle Herschel.
And the beauty of it all is forever. You'll be holding me too.
I miss Ray dearly, and I'm so proud that his last album, Beauty Is, The Final Sessions, is available at his favorite restaurant.
A love affair to remember.
The project includes a duet with Martina McBride and harmony vocals from Vince Gill. Ray believed this to be the best recording he had ever made.
Oh, I wish I was 18 again.
I think you'll agree when you pick up your copy of Beauty Is, The Final Sessions at a Cracker Barrel Old Country Store location near you or at crackerbarrel.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, John Gray here with another edition of Melodies Wrapped Around Life, brought to you by It's a Matter of Music Publishing Company. We're very fortunate today to have a gentleman in the studio with us. His name is Steve West, and he is a Manchester boy who went off and has been successful in the music industry, and he's here today to give us a little bit of his backstory and what he's doing now, and we're just excited to have Steve here. Steve, thank you for being with us.
It's great to be here. Thanks.
And like I said, you're a Manchester boy. When did you graduate from high school in Manchester?
I graduated in '73. Left town to go play baseball at Belmont College, then Belmont College, Belmont University now. And got started in record retail right after that, which led to concerts, doing concerts to promote our record stores. And then that led to starting Go West Presents and doing concerts on my own for 25 years.
25 years doing concerts. Who are some of the people that you promoted in concerts? Just to do a little name dropping out there.
Sarah McLachlan, Dave Matthews Band, Neville Brothers, the band. Gosh, there's all kinds of things. Ice-T. I did Public Enemy. I did all kinds of shows.
Right. And you ended up out of this owning several pieces of property in Nashville as venues.
Right. I started out doing my shows at the Cannery in Nashville. There were 2 rooms there we could play shows, either upstairs at the 300 capacity, downstairs at about 1,000. And I brought some interesting people like Ladysmith Black Mambazas, that they'd never been to Nashville before. Iggy Pop and Jane's Addiction, alternative 90s guys will know those bands. And then I left the Cannery in 1990 to open up 328 Performance Hall, which was a 1,200-seat venue. And a few times we had more than 1,200 people in.
Fire marshal let you get away with that.
A friend of mine said, make the money when you can.
Yeah, in the music business, that's a staple statement right there.
Especially when, as a promoter, for me, I was limited to how much money I could make.
Right.
But it was unlimited how much I could lose.
Oh, always.
And you mentioned Joe Sullivan earlier.
Yeah, Joe.
Joe Sullivan told me, we were on a panel one time together, and he said, when I got started in this business, I could make $100,000 on a $10,000 act. Now I can only make $10,000 on a $100,000.
Yeah, that's true.
Shows you how things turned around.
They did, and that was my next question. In dealing with Nashville and the music industry over the last 25 years or so, what are some of the drastic changes that you've seen in the whole music industry scene, but also in the scene what's going on in Nashville?
It's Nashville today. Now, I have not been actively promoting concerts in Nashville for the past 15 years.
Right.
I will still produce some things, but to me the biggest difference is the number of venues. There's so many venues in town, so many clubs. When I was doing these shows in the 80s and 90s, there was 3 or 4 places, a band might go to. Now there's a whole lot more than
everywhere.
That. Yeah. And so, and when I sold 328 Performance Hall in 2000, I opened up another building, an office building that we renovated top to bottom, and that building is now the home of Grimey's Records and the basement, a 100-seat club in the basement.
Right.
And Grimey's Records is one of the top independent record stores in the country. They regularly featured in Rolling Stone, writing about vinyl sales particularly.
And that's come back with a vengeance. Vinyl.
They're growing every year.
All these millennials and these young people want vinyl. It sells out before the other stuff does.
Yeah, it's amazing the numbers they're doing there. As a matter of fact, I'll give them a plug. This weekend is Record Store Day. There's going to be an outdoor concert behind the building there at Grimey's.
At Grimey's? Yeah, wonderful.
Basement. Yeah. A lot of good bands there. I don't know what the lineup is, but it's always a good day.
Well, I can remember when I was roaming around downtown or on Music Row a little bit more than I am now. You never could tell what Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, what day you might be going down an alley and there's a tent set up and there's somebody playing music and somebody's promoting and pushing and showcasing somebody.
Right. Exactly.
And
right.
I saw Carl Perkins in an alley down there one day and talking about riding blue suede shoes. And it's an education. You can get educated just roaming around down there.
He played 328 one time, and it was such a pleasure to meet him and talk to him. And right away, you felt like you'd known him all your life.
He's a genuinely nice man.
I liked him. I was so impressed with him, and I liked him so much. When he died, I went to his funeral down in Jackson, and was sitting there at the funeral, and Winona gets up and does a song for him, and then she says, "Well, George, you want to do a song?" George Harrison pops up and does a song, and George and Ringo were both there at that funeral.
Yeah, that's great.
That was kind of neat to see those guys.
I guess my next question is you've come back to Manchester over the past couple of years. I mean, I'm sure you've visited from time to time, but there's a church downtown, the Old Methodist Church. And,
Church of Christ.
Oh, excuse me, Church of Christ, and that you purchased.
Right.
And have remodeled and using your entrepreneurial spirit and owning buildings and knowing how this functions and how to deal with this. How about giving us a little bit of the story on that? Steve has brought some videos, some pictures where we can see before and after pictures. And I also went over there a couple of weeks ago and videoed what's there now.
Right.
And so why don't we go through that a little bit and let you explain to our audience what you're doing there and what you're trying to achieve.
Okay.
And we'll look at the transformation of that building, because it's beautiful, folks, what you're getting ready to see.
The building at the time when I looked at it was in September of 15, I believe, and it was being used mostly for storage. And it was sort of divided up in some strange ways. So it involved a lot of demo work.
Tell us what this is.
All right, this is a before picture. This was oddly enough in the entryway of the building. Over the years, it was last a church in 61. So over the years, a lot of people did some strange things.
Right.
And I found this bathroom at the entranceway of the
and that's under the bell tower.
It's right next to the bell tower. Now that's what it looks like now. So it's changed quite a bit.
Changed a bit. They had that door completely blocked off, right?
The door was blocked off. That's right.
And
yes.
a commode sitting there.
And a commode sitting there. Yeah. And no ceiling.
Okay, what's next? Now,
all right. There was a panel wall that covered the entire east side of the sanctuary, and then another wall that went right up in the middle of the room. And they had, before they covered it, though, they spray painted or painted the etched glass of the stained glass windows, and those had been covered up for at least 30 years. I don't know exactly how long, but that's what it looks like now.
Isn't that something?
I found a really pretty light fixture above the drop ceiling in that area.
Yeah, you could see that on the picture before. You could see that hanging up there. But it was just covered up.
It was covered up, and I found it.
There you go. Now, that's where the wall was built, right through the center of the sanctuary.
Right. And you can see there the red carpet and the other carpet that had been there for many years. There was quite a bit of water damage in that corner because it was covered up, and they didn't realize the water was coming in.
Right.
And which that also led to termite damage.
And look at it now.
It's a beautiful place.
And that floor was under all of that mess.
Yes, it was under the carpet, and I couldn't wait to get rid of that carpet. I hated that musty smell, you know.
Yeah.
And it doesn't smell like an old building now.
And now, all right, here's some more. While we're looking at, go ahead, Philip. Just keep rolling.
All right. Actually, I reclaimed a bunch of lumber. I would pull those nails, reuse stuff everywhere I could, trying to cut corners. And so this is where I did that. But this room now has turned, that we call this the library side. And we've got what we call the white room. This is the white room.
And so that's where, when people are, because you do rent this out for weddings, for parties, for
receptions, luncheons, all kinds of stuff.
So that's a food prep or a food area.
There. Typically the people are set up buffets over on that side and then go back into the main room to sit down to eat. This is a view from the back towards the front. We built this bar there, and I don't know if you caught the stained glass windows that were in there, but they had been covered up. On this library side, the stained glass windows had been covered up since 1962, and I uncovered those in March of last year, I think.
That's great.
This is the backstage area, and what you're looking at there, that brick is the original northwest corner of the church. Originally, the church was just a one-room sanctuary, and that's the back door. They did an addition to it in 1951, with all the kids coming on and needing to expand their families and everything. So they built a horseshoe around that and an L-shaped basement down below.
And the last time I was in there, that floor right there couldn't even be distinguished as wood. It was so nasty.
Yeah, we hired some people that did a good job on that floor. This, I believe, was at one time the minister's office, and at another time it was Judge Vance Lowry's office, and now it's one of the dressing rooms, and it's cleaned up real nice.
Isn't that great? So if someone comes there and they're having a wedding reception or a party, they have a bride's place and a groom's place.
I've got 2 rooms set up in white for the brides, and the groom's rooms aren't as nice as
of
the
course
bride.
not. They don't have to be. We don't care that much.
This is what it looked like on the side where my office is now. There was drop ceiling, again, covering up the old windows and more paneling. There must have been a sale on paneling at some time because paneling was everywhere in that building.
There's always a sale on paneling.
That's my office now.
Yeah,
so
isn't that beautiful? And tell us about that table. That's a very unique table.
All right. Well, that table, I got that in 1990. I found it at a used school and office furniture place. That's an old Vanderbilt Law School library table.
I'd never seen a table quite like that until I walked in there.
Here's the crazy thing. Sue Banks there in Manchester took me over to show me her space about a half block away. Up at the top of the stairs, she's got one of those tables.
Are you kidding me?
I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it.
And a little bit about some of the pictures around the wall.
The photos on the left side, that's I produced the Nashville Music Awards for the 5 years that was going on in the mid-'90s to the 2000. And the piece in the middle is Flatt and Scruggs by this folk artist, Lamar Sorrento, and I love that because when I was a kid, probably when you were a kid,
we watched them every Saturday morning.
Night. Well, I watched them Saturday night.
Whenever they were on, I don't remember.
Right.
Morning there was no morning TV.
It was cartoons. But, you had Flatt and Scruggs, the Wilburn Brothers, and Porter Wagoner Show with Dolly Parton and Norma Jean.
Yes, you're exactly correct.
And then over on the right, that's some of my old concert posters,
Very good.
Los Lobos and Suzanne Vega and Lucinda Williams.
Lucinda Williams. She was in here one day.
Really?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I'll tell you about that. It's a strange deal. What I know you are doing the weddings and receptions and now what about music there? You're working on a band of your own now, aren't you, a little bit?
I've been playing in bands. I sort of rediscovered that around 2000, and when I sold 328 Performance Hall, I wanted to do some writing, and that led to me playing more, and then I hooked up with some other people. And the first band I was in was Zigzag, and we were together for about 5 or 6 years, and then we morphed into Zigzag Mojo. We added Jonelle Mosser.
Love Jonelle.
Who's a great singer, and so that was Zigzag Mojo. But a couple of us wanted to do a little more blues and R&B stuff, so we hooked up with some amazing musicians, and we now have a band called The Solution.
That's a great name.
And it's Solution. Solution.
Right.
So we've got one of the best guitar players in Nashville and one of the best lead singers, female vocalists. They're both amazing. The toughest thing for us booking shows is their availability because they're so in demand.
Right.
But we're going to be right here, in Manchester next Friday night, and money back guarantee. If you don't like us, you can leave.
So that's going to be and let's get this out there again. The name of your venue, your event center.
It's the Church at 117.
The Church at 117, and he's in the process of having signage designed and ready to put signage on it.
Right.
But for those who don't know, that is 117
East Fort Street.
Right. So you go to the back of the square. and you're on the right-hand side of the courthouse. You go right past the right-hand side of the courthouse. You get to the the corner there. Take a right, and it's right next to the old post office.
Exactly. Right.
So, and you're going to be there with your band next Friday night.
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock till.
We'll be doing 2 pretty long sets.
Okay. All right. And what's the tally on that?
$10. $10 admission.
What a deal! And you've got some great Nashville players coming in.
Right.
And how wonderful is that?
That's great.
Hometown, man.
And we're using
hometown.
We're also using it to promote the Church at 117 Book Exchange over in the old.
The library.
And when I was a kid, the Manchester Coffee County Library was there on the west side of the building. And so I found some of the old library shelves, and I put them up at the front and brought in most of my books from my collection. And we're going to start swapping books with people and encourage people reading, more people to read.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Steve West.
Yeah.
Welcome home, my friend.
All right, it's great.
Thank you so much for being with us today, and we will continue to promote whatever you're doing. Know that you're always welcome.
I appreciate that.
To come over here and spend some time with us, and it's great to have someone with your abilities and your career in the industry that you're in to share information and knowledge with all of us around here to help make our small towns vibrant and full of wonderful, fun things to do.
Well, Manchester's a wonderful place, as is Tullahoma. And I'm happy to be there. There's this great energy downtown, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
All right, Steve West. Folks, we'll be back next time. I got 10 seconds. Go to Couches, buy my brand new book, Loku by John Gray, downtown Tullahoma. We love you. We'll see you next time.